What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Queen Boss Lady, and I'm back with another testimony slash story slash how I overcame death. And I'm being led to expose my family and just make people aware of what's going on and what's really taking place. And I'm just being obedient to God because God chose me to do this, to tear this generational curse down that has haunted my family for years, centuries, and decades. I come from a family of vultures. They prey on each other, they attack each other, they kill each other for insurance money. I come from a family of prostitutes where the women in my family, they sell their bodies. They're so entangled with this lifestyle to the point where they're numb and they don't have any feelings or any emotions. They only care about themselves and money. So this next person that I'm going to tell my testimony is my niece, Koya Hester. Now, Koya Hester is my brother's daughter, who I loved very dearly. He was someone very special to me. And okay, so I don't want to get emotional, but my brother spent a lot of time with me right before he was murdered. So, and he did tell me about his children, and he did tell me that he wanted me to meet them. Unfortunately, I met his children after he was murdered. And when I first met them, I just got this weird vibe, this nasty vibe from them, as if they were like sizing me up and instantly like being jealous of me. It wasn't until she became an adult, she began to visit me, because I, with open arms, told her that you guys are always welcome to my house. You know, you guys are always welcome here. Your dad was always at my house. Once we was introduced to each other, because I did not know about my brother my whole life. I actually met my brother either 3 months before he was murdered, or I would say 5 months at the most. She began to come to my house and visit me, and we began to form a relationship. But I'm her auntie, but I'm a real cool, laid-back auntie. And she would get mixed signals, and sometimes she would disrespect me. She would, call me out my name or things like that. And I just wasn't tolerating it. And I just couldn't understand, like, why would she cross those lines even though I'm your auntie? Like, it's just certain things that you don't ever say to your auntie. So we had a rocky up and down relationship, but still, I would always forgive her and let her come to my house. I remember I had a nice house, a big backyard, and she would come every other weekend, her daughter, and they would stay with me. And I didn't really have any problems with her or anything like that, but she told her mom a lie on me, that I left her stranded somewhere. And when I drove to pick her up, because she stayed at a distance from me, and she called me to pick her up for the weekend, and when I drove to pick her up, her mother told me that, like, didn't you abandon my daughter? And I'm like, no, I did not abandon her anywhere. I would never leave my niece nowhere stranded. I don't care how mad we is. And I'm like, Koya, and I look at her, and she's like, yeah, I was lying. I'm sorry. I apologize or whatever. And I'm like, girl. And it's just one of those things where she got mad, so she wanted her mom to be mad at me. She hated me for a moment, so she wanted her mom to hate me, and she just, wanted people to gang up on me. But I forgave her, and we went to my house. So I remember that after I had a house, I fell on hard times and I had to move into the projects. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've been through, I've gone through. I'm not ashamed, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. And she was one of those people that wanted to make me feel some type of way about living in the projects, wanted me to feel like this is the end. And I already knew that it wasn't, because I listened to God and I listened to my angels and my ancestors. So particularly, I remember she would always want to drive my car and stuff, auntie, niece stuff. And I would let her drive my car, because I always had the better car, and I didn't care. I would switch cars with her, drive her little car. And I just remember when I moved into the projects, she would come over, and she was prostituting. She was on Backpage, and she was trying to make me jealous of that. And I'm like, how you gonna try to make me jealous about you selling pussy, you being able to roam the streets all hours of the night, and I'm at home with my two beautiful children. I'm where I want to be. I'm where God wants me to be. And I just remember just reading her spirit, and my angels and God speaking to me about her, and just speaking to me, saying that she was coming into my home and wanted me to feel uncomfortable about where I was living. But she didn't have an apartment of her own or a place of her own at the time. She was still living with her mom. And I was at peace, even though I was living in the projects. It's like, not where you live, it's how you live in. I didn't have niggas running in and out my house. Nobody came to my house. I didn't talk to the people in the community. I didn't associate myself with the people in the community. I made sure I locked my door. I made sure that I was in the house by a certain time. I wasn't the hangout type anyways. So I remember one day in particularly, we went to the graveyard to visit her dad and my brother. And when we got there, it was just a lot going on. I started getting a lot of information. My brothers they started talking to me, and they told me that I would be moving out of Ocala, Florida, and they told me not to trust her. And I remember just gasping for air and looking at her, because it was her dad that told me not to trust her. So my niece is obsessed with men. She is obsessed with sex. She is addicted to it. She feels like life isn't lifing without dick, or being penetrated, or whatever it is. But I just loved her in spite of. I just loved her with all of her flaws, baggage, or whatever. So I couldn't understand why she was trying to come to my house and try to make me feel uncomfortable, because I was happy with my part-time job. I was happy being home with my children and being comfortable. My house was lavish. When you walked in, it's like you stepped in a whole nother dimension. You have to be like, well, you know what I'm saying? You live in the projects, but in here, it's like you living like a queen. And so I just remember one particular, after my angels and my brother told me that at the graveyard. Now, mind you, my brother is deceased, so that's why I call them angels. They told me not to trust her. And that following weekend, she called me very late. It was about 12 o'clock at night. And I'm that auntie. Like, my nieces or my nephews call me, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna open the door for them. They're always welcome to my house. You know, I take that very serious, that I am my brother's keeper, and if I can pick up the slack where my brothers are not here to be there for their children, I try my best to do so. So I remember it was about 12:30, and she called me and she was like, Auntie, I'm outside. Can you open the door? And so I got up out of my bed from sleeping very good, and I went and I opened my door for her, not thinking anything of it. And I opened the door and I had to use the bathroom. So I just unlocked the door, and I just started walking back down the hallway. And once I hit the hallway, I seen somebody run in my house out the corner of my eye. But she was holding the door open for them. So I thought maybe she brung her boyfriend with her, or she brung a date with her that she was seeing that night. But when I was in the bathroom, my angels began to speak to me, and they told me, don't panic, don't get irrational, don't get upset, because someone is here for you. And they was like, don't get mad, because these things can cause things to go left. So she even said, when I was in the bathroom, she was like, Auntie, somebody out here for you. Like, right after they got done telling me that. And I'm like, instantly, like, you seen my face and you seen all the emotions. I was just like, this is what my angels is talking about. Calm down, don't get mad, because I instantly knew, like, no, there could be nobody out there for me, because people don't come to my house this late. My nieces and my nephews are the only ones invited to my house like this late. Like, it's 12:30 at night, it's 12:30 a.m. So when I came out, there was a man in my living room, and he was looking around. He was looking like a demon. He was on demon time. And he wanted to do something to me. He wanted to hurt me. But the way I approached him, I was like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And he was just looking around my apartment like he couldn't believe that I was living like this. Like, I really had my house laid lavish. I'm talking about nice furniture, nice rugs, nice expensive furniture, tables, dining room. Like, it was very nice. I worked very hard to pay for that stuff. And he was just looking around in disbelief, like he couldn't believe that I was living like this. And then when he got to me and he looked at me, I said, is everything okay? Are you okay? As if he needed some assistance, or he needed some love, or he needed someone to aid him. I didn't know if he was, I'm looking back at him, making sure like nothing's wrong with him. And he was like, it's like he just snapped out of it, and he was like, oh, I'm about to go, man. I'm about to get out of here. I just came to say hey. And I was like, hey. And he left. But I knew he was there to hurt me, and he was there to harm me. My niece knows me, and she knows that I don't stand on business like that. I don't handle business like that. I love my children, and I make sure that my children are always in a safe environment within our home, no matter if we're living in the projects or not. But she wanted to teach me a lesson about living in the projects, and she wanted to make me feel like shit for living in the projects. And she let him, a stranger, somebody that's taller than both of us. I want to say he was like 5'6". He was very tall, very strong, masculine. Like, it's like he was on some type of drugs and liquor as well. And I asked her, why would you let him in my house? Like, as soon as he left, I still didn't panic, but I hurried up. I walked to the door and I locked it. And I looked her right in her face and I said, why would you let a stranger in my house? And she was like, oh, I thought you knew him. The way he just walked in behind me, I thought that you knew him. And God and my angels started telling me that it was a setup. She tried to set me up. And she let this man in my house behind her. And then she tried to play as if I knew him. This is now the third house that I've had that you've came to. In no time at any of my houses when you were visiting me and you would spend the night, at no time did I let any man through my front door. You never seen a man come to my house. And that's what I explained to her. And she was like, well, he told me to let him in, so I did. But if you would have seen what I seen, you would have seen the setup. She literally held the door open for him to come in, like she signaled him, like. And I was just so devastated, and I was like, this is what my angels was telling me, to not to trust her. And she gave me a vibe right then, and I was like, no, you're not welcome here no more, because you put me and my kid's life in danger. Like, I wasn't going for it. It was not settling with me or my spirit. I was like, no, you're not welcome here no more, because I know what I saw. You literally let him in. Like, you literally had enough time to close the door in his face and lock it, but you chose to let him in. And so she left. She had her own car at that time, and she left. A week later, she showed up at my house. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Me and my kids sleeping good. We in the back room sleeping good. And all of a sudden, I just said, boom, 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 on my door. So immediately, Spirit is like, my angels is like, don't panic, don't get upset, don't get mad. And God is comforting me and letting me know that it's a setup. She wants you to go to jail. But I didn't know who she was until I walked in my hallway and they kept banging on my door. Bam, 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 bam. No respect for me, no respect for my 2 children. So I closed my room door and I didn't try to. I was obedient to God, and I just let them bang on my door. I thought they was gonna kick it in. By now, other people in the projects are coming out of their doors. Some people was already up, still standing on the corner, because this the projects. So they began to laugh, because this is what goes on. This is action for them. And God is saying, she's trying to humiliate you. she was trying to do a humiliation ritual. And so once he told me that, I snapped. And I went into my kitchen and I said, I'm going to get some canned goods and I'm going to open the door and I'm going to just start throwing it at their heads. And I want to throw it at her vehicle. I want to bust the windows out. I want to bust her in her head with the canned goods. I'm not afraid to tell what I do or what I've done either. That's just that on that. And I went into my kitchen and I opened my cabinet to get the canned goods. And I heard her laughing. She had brought another girl with her that did not like me and was jealous of me. But I didn't know she was jealous of me. Because me and her mom was like this. And I heard her say, we got to get that bitch to come outside. We got to get her to come outside. Or our plan won't work. So what she said added up with what God was telling me and my angels was telling me. So I closed my cabinet and I just kept letting them kick on the door. And I said, I don't remember if I said anything through the door, so I'm not gonna say that. I don't remember saying anything, but I think they saw like the kitchen light come on or something like that, because I did turn the kitchen light on, because I was gonna go through with my plan and not God's plan. Excuse me. But when I heard her laughing and when I heard her say, we gotta get that bitch to come outside, I knew I need to go with God's plan and not my plan. So they ran down my stairs. I'm getting so choked up because these are people that I loved and was like, they was important to me. I really loved them and really cared for them. And I'm not about to get emotional because they're missing out, not me. I'm not missing out because I would never put her daughter in any type of danger like that, or I would never bring anyone to her residence, to her home. And when they ran down the stairs, I was disobedient. And I went outside because I wanted her to see me. And I was disobedient. I told her, I said, you know what? Come back up these stairs. Come back. So I can dog walk your ass back down these stairs. I say, how dare you? How dare you come where my kids lay their head at and be so foul and disrespectful? I said, I'm an OG. We don't handle shit like that. We don't stand on business like that. You wait till you catch me out in the streets. You don't bring nothing to my front door with my children. All because, and I leaned over the balcony. And they just laughing like two hyenas. And I'm like, it's funny, but come back up these stairs. And they just pulled off in their car. And everybody was just looking when I was talking because I was so calm. And I was like very calm. And I meant every word that I said. And I felt like she deserved to be walked like a dog that night because I haven't done anything to you. You just mad because he didn't stand on business that night you let him in my house. This is what jealousy and envy and drugs and alcohol and generational curses do to my family. They just kill each other and then act like nothing ever happened. So I got on my phone and I text the other girl she was with. I text her mom because me and her mom was friends at the time. And I told her what her daughter did. And she couldn't believe what her daughter did because she was like at my house some months before this happened. And she straightened her daughter. Now, I didn't have her mom's contact information, or I didn't have a way to get in contact with her mom. And that's what these narcissistic people do. They will cut you off from their relatives, their moms. They will cut you off from those people. You won't have any contact with them, so you can't reach out to them and say, hey, this is what your daughter just did. You will only hear their side of the story. I remember another night, and this is when I was living in my house. We was outside chilling at some apartments, and I was like, I'm finna go ahead and go home. You know, we was just chilling at my sister-in-law's brother's house. And there was some men over there, and that's all it takes is men, a little bit of money, and they're getting, it's girls gone wild. I was so embarrassed. I was like, let's just go back to my house and chill. And they was like, no, auntie, we're going to stay here and we're going to make some money and get our bills paid. And I'm like, what bills do y'all have? Y'all don't have no house. Y'all don't have no apartment. You know, at the time, she didn't have a car. I had went and got her. So I'm like, what bills do y'all have? And my niece was like, oh, I need my phone bill paid. And I remember just begging and pleading with them not to do it, not to stay, and that I was leaving, because the later it gets, the more dangerous people get, especially in my family. So they wasn't trying to hear anything that I was saying. And I remember my sister-in-law brother was like, yeah, they gonna stay here, and when we get done with them, we'll drop them off. And I didn't even argue with him. I didn't even say anything back. I was really hurt to the core. And I just got in my car and I drove home and I cried. And I cried because they're so young, and I don't want to cry. But I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm just like crying for their souls. Like, their souls is really fucked up. And they want to blame it on this and blame it on that. And that could be 20% of the case. But a lot of it is just bondage, witchcraft, generational curses. So I wasn't selling no ass, no cat, no hand, no palm, nothing. So I was scared, you know, made it on home. And that was that. So I caught my niece slipping one day at Domino's. And when I seen her, it was just like I saw red. I saw red. And I even told the pizza man, I went in to get my pizza, and then once I looked to my right, I had to double take because I seen her car whipping in. So I was like, hold my pizza, and I went outside, right? I was finna tear her a new one. I caught her slipping. I didn't have my kids, and I didn't see her kids. And she hurried up and jumped out the car. When she seen me, she got scared. And she jumped out the car and she ran around to the back door, and she hurried up and grabbed her baby out of the car seat. And she was like, baby, look at your auntie, baby. And I was like, okay, hey baby, I'm gonna show you what apparently nobody showed you. I ain't gonna disrespect you in front of your jit, even though, ooh, I'm gonna be the bigger woman. I'm gonna be the queen that I am. I'm gonna stand in my power of control and know that vengeance is the Lord, vengeance is God. And so I began to talk to my niece, her baby, because this is like what, my great niece. So I don't know. But am I talking to her? I'm like, yeah, you got it this time. I'm not gonna I'm like patting her baby, but I'm talking to her. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna disrespect you in front of your baby. Even though you came to my home and you disrespected me in front of my children, but they were asleep. You disrespected their home. I'm not gonna do that. Even though you let a stranger from off the streets in my home to do me something, I'm gonna let God. And so from there, it's like she was in and out, out and in. So a couple of months later, because I was obedient to God, no, I want to say, yeah, a couple months later, no, about a year later, because I was only out there for like 12 months. So like a year later, I moved, and it's like my family, they're all gang stalkers. They all just click. They don't love each other. They don't like each other. They're not there for each other. But they use these phones to just keep everybody updated on the movements that you're doing. It's not because they want to congratulate you either. So, my dad had came and moved my stuff. I moved into a nicer neighborhood, more laid back, more yard room for the girls. And you know, God was like, angels, my husband was like, hey, don't tell her where you stay, don't fall for that this time. So true enough, my dad told her that I had moved, and she called me. Hey auntie, she want to be best friends. Hey auntie. I'm like, hey. Oh, you moved? I was like, yeah, I moved. I got me a better place, nice backyard, nice side yard. I love it. I like it. Better environment for my children. And she was like, oh, where is it? Where you stay at? And I was like, where I stay at? And she was like, bitch, fuck you. I don't need to know where your motherfucking ass stay. And I was just like, see, click. And I just hung the phone up. And that was our strained relationship. And that was how quick she tried to have me set up to check me up out of here. So fast forward to me moving out of Ocala, Florida, because like I told y'all in the beginning, my brothers, my angels, did tell me that I would be moving out of Ocala, Florida, and I did ended up moving up out of Ocala, Florida. And so when I came back to visit, she just popped up, oh, I love you, auntie, and you had this, and you had the best shoe game in Ocala, and blah, 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 blah. And I was just listening to her. She wanted to buy me food, and you know, I could just tell what she had done to me was really like working on her conscience. Like, We was driving, and she just busted out crying, saying how, you know, she doesn't feel any love from, you know, our family, and her uncle doesn't show her any love, and that's sad, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, well, it'll be all right. But I knew that it was more behind those tears. Like it was more of a guilt trip she was on, and you know, God was really working on her conscience about what she did to me and my children, and in the situation she put us in. So I hope, well, I don't hope for nothing. I don't know where that come from. I rebuke that from my vocabulary. I don't hope. I pray that if you ever been in this situation, somebody ever put your life in danger or put you in a dangerous situation with you and your children, don't ever trust them again. Don't ever trust them again. Dream state. Dream state. And then I'm going to wrap this video up. God revealed to me in a dream that in my dream, I was in my apartment, but it was like falling down. Everything was falling down around me. And she pulled up in her car, and she had a goddamn, that damn piece she had was nice. Now, I ain't gonna hold you now. She had a goddamn chrome 45, and as everything around me was falling down, it's like God had threw some rope from the sky, and I held on to it, and he was like pulling me out, and like everything was just falling apart in the apartment. And it was my daughter, it was my sister, they was all trying to attack me. It's like they was running into my house trying to attack me, and she was downstairs. Like I could see out of the window, she was downstairs, and my sister and my daughter was like running after me and running up to me, but I was being lifted out of the apartment, and she was downstairs, and she was like, "Get that bitch now, get that bitch." And she popped that bitch 2 times. Bam, bam. She shot the floor with it. And this is after she did all that. This is after I go back to Ocala and visit. And she was the first one in my face. And I had that dream when I went back home to Texas. And I'm like, and God was like, yeah, she is still sneaky, and she is not to be trusted, and she still is after you. And she's one of those ones that I had to just block and not deal with anymore, because they do this. They put your whole life in danger. They put your children's life in danger. They seek to destroy you. They seek to unalive you. And then when it doesn't work, they just come around like, hey, I always loved you. I always knew that you would, make it through all the bullshit that I put you through. I just, I knew you was going to come out on the other side. I knew you was going to, when you didn't know, because that could have went very left with you inviting a demon into my house. Letting someone in my house that you don't know. So my message, I would encourage you, kings and queens, the first time someone disrespects your home, your house, don't ever trust them. They're jealous, they're envious, they'll do anything to take you out and to take you down. Don't ever trust these people. To the next video. I care for you guys.